Okay, I think we will go for it. Fabulous. So welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Pam McDowell. I'm the Digital Learning Manager for Renfrewshire. I'm absolutely delighted this afternoon that we have Susan and Martin from Education Scotland joining us today, in fact, delivering the session for us. It's the purpose of this session is to give you an overview. As I always say, you don't know what you don't know. So this first session is around giving you an overview of the tools that are available within Glow, and then from there we'll be able to drill down, because you'll have an opportunity at the end of the session to complete an evaluation, and we can look at where we go next. So it's very much going to be driven by you, but this first session is more of an information giving session, just so you can see what's available, and I'm sure some tools will be familiar to you, some less so. So hopefully we'll get a good flavour of everything for all. And then, as you know, we have a couple of sessions and then we're meeting face to face. So if you're wondering why you haven't had a venue sent out, we're just waiting to hear what that venue will be. So fingers crossed I get that confirmed over the next week or so that we can come together face to face, because we really want to make sure that through a big part of these sessions is a chance for you guys to say, hey, I found this out and this is what I did with my class. It's great, we've got a good mix with us today. We've got a mix of secondary and primary staff on here, as well as some primaries who have ELCs as well. So we'll give you a good flavour of all of the tools that are available to you. So I'm going to rest my voice some more, and I am going to pass over to Susan, first of all, from Education Scotland, and she's just going to do a little bit of scene setting.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Pam. So hi everyone, my name's Susan Say. I'm a Product Manager in the Glow team at Education Scotland. And we have been on a journey over the past year or so. So we started off with a pilot, looking at Gemini with 2 local authorities. That was Argyll and Bute and Clackmannanshire. After that, we then enabled Gemini for all Google tenancies within Glow. Based on that pilot, we got lots of feedback and user requests for Notebook LM. So then we enabled Notebook LM, and we also were in the process of rolling out Adobe Express as an opt-in service. So now within Glow, you have an AI package of support that supports creativity and productivity by using either Adobe Express, Gemini, Notebook LM, and there's also learning accelerators, which Martin's going to talk about as well. So you can see the 3 tiles on the screen, and you'll be able to access them from the RM Unify app library. Over the next few terms, Martin will be delivering some AI-focused sessions, and we'd love to hear your feedback. How are you using these tools for content creation, idea generation, research, saving time, or possibly supporting learners? Reading real-life examples supports educators across Scotland, especially those who have been reluctant or nervous to start their AI journey. We have a dedicated section on Glow Connect, so that's our front-facing website, where we can share feedback and practical examples of use. It'd be really great if we could include some use cases from Renfrewshire, so please do reach out to Pam if this is something you'd like to get involved in. We might even be able to come to your school for a visit if that's easier for you. Google have recently announced that Gemini will be available to all users, including learners. But don't worry, Gemini is only available for staff just now within Glow. However, it is something we are going to be investigating. We'll be running a discovery piece of work. We'll be reaching out to various user groups to find out how they're feeling about learners accessing Gemini. We'll also be working with our information security and safeguarding colleagues to investigate the risks involved and possible mitigations that could be put in place. Therefore, I just wanted to plant the seed so you know that we'll be coming back to you to ask for your feedback. This is something to think about when you're listening to Martin when he's presenting these AI-focused sessions. So I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll pass you back to Pam.
Fantastic, thanks Susan. So you know, you never sign up for something without giving something back in return. That's what we're looking for. So please do stick your hand up. I've just popped in the chat just to say we are recording the session. Susan, Martin and I have said we no longer care. So We just stay on camera. But if you don't wish to be in, please do feel free to switch your camera off now. It's just nice to see people's faces when you're presenting so that it feels like you're actually talking to someone. But we do understand. Anyway, without further ado, I am going to hand over to, what did I call you in the last session, Martin? The Paisley man.
Paisley man.
Paisley
Yes. Paisley man.
Yes, over to Martin. Thanks.
Oddly enough, I have been called worse. It is one of those things. Let me just share my screen here, folks. Yes, the reason I get called the Paisley man is because, shocker, I'm from Paisley, despite the fact that I'm sitting in the lovely northeast and windy the lovely and windy northeast of Scotland right now. But I am Paisley born and bred. I'm a Renfrewshire boy through and through. So speaking to teachers and staff in Renfrewshire is always it's bringing me back to my roots. Yes, as Pam said, my name is Martin Coots. I'm a member of the Education Scotland Digital Learning and Teaching team. My remit is digital skills. It's the tools that you have available to you. It's how you can use them. It's boosting your confidence and it's giving you what we would call the art of the possible, kind of building an overall picture of what you can use, what it can be used for. And we will go into more depth with these as we go through, with opportunities for you guys to have hands-on, but also to hear from you if there's something that you're using these particular tools for. We're quite fortunate within Glow through the Secure Enclave. We really do have access to some industry leading generative AI tools that can be used both in a practical, productive, and creative way. As Susan said, they are tools for productivity and creativity, but what we're going to do over the course of several sessions, but today it's really just an overview. We're going to look at some of the things that you can do with the AI tools that you have within Glow. I am going to give you a whistle-stop tour of some of these, actually showing you some of the ways in which they can be used, but also really want to hear from you about what you would like to focus on. This is very much going to be a collaborative. It's not going to be an hour of listening to, Susan and myself talk to you about the tools that we have available. It's really looking at, you guys are boots on the ground. It's been a wee while since I've been in the classroom, so you guys are boots on the ground. So it's important to hear what you guys are doing. The three main ones that we will focus on, despite the fact, as Susan said, we've also got Microsoft Learning Accelerators, which we will also look at as well. But we have Gemini, Google Gemini, and Google Notebook LM, two powerful tools that can be used in a productive way to help you sort of develop engaging resources, engaging lessons, kind of do some of the heavy lifting. And then Adobe Express, which is going to allow our learners, if you have used the Adobe suite of apps, Adobe Spark Post, which was out a few years ago, that's now Adobe Express. And that has really sort of grown into an all-encompassing tools. It has podcast tools built in. It has video editing built in. It has a lot of really great tools that learners can use to showcase their knowledge in a way that makes sense to them. And it's all device agnostic. That's the best part about this as well. It doesn't matter what devices you have, whether you've got Chromebooks, Windows, iPad, whatever you have within your school, these tools can be used. Getting to know what these tools are, getting to know what these terms mean, that's also important. So we've created an AI summary page, everything that you need to know within Scottish education, that's available in DigiLearn Scot. And then as we progress through this, some of the things that we worry about as educators is images that have been generated or knowing whether something is real or fake. Luckily, about 50%, every 1 in 2 learners, according to Common Sense Media, they're able to recognise and understand what fake and misleading text and images are. You can't blink just now without going onto social media and seeing AI generated videos. And because these tools are becoming more readily available, it's becoming easier. So we just want to make sure that we are building a holistic knowledge and a holistic approach about these as we are coming through. I'm quite relaxed when we're going through this, so if there's anything you want clarification on, Pam and Susan are already adding into the chat and answering questions in the chat. I also don't stand on ceremony. If you want to raise your hand and ask a question, please feel free. I'll also be getting you to use the React button a little bit, just so I can kind of get a picture of what you've been using, or if you have been using things to a degree. So the main three is good, as Susan says, that appears on your Glow Launchpad as you log in: Gemini, Notebook, Adobe Express, and Microsoft Learning Accelerators. That doesn't have a tab necessarily, but they are all built into the Microsoft suite of applications. And as Pam said in the chat, all of them are available in Renfrewshire. It's realistic to give everybody this, this choice, because that's what we have personally. We have a choice whether we use, Keynote on the iPad, whether we use PowerPoint, whether we use slides. We have that choice. So it's just being realistic about how these tools can be used. First one I'm going to start with is the Microsoft Learning Accelerators. Now, lessons learned, I went into a bit too much detail in these in the last one, so I'm not going to spend too long. Simply to say that the Learning Accelerator tools that are built in for our secondary colleagues, and I was one of you, I was a maths teacher for many years, but our secondary colleagues, the tools that are built into the assignments aspect on Teams, that's where you'll find the Learning Accelerators. If I just show you quickly, switch out to a tab. Learning accelerators are just the machine learning tools that Microsoft has enabled. It can help gauge reading, it can help gauge search. It's things that you can add into assignments to help boost student confidence. It's the same for primary. I really see learning accelerators within Teams being a BGE kind of focus, and then obviously Class Notebook being where you would go into a bit more detail when you get into NQs and things of that nature within Nat5s and so on. Just to show you what learning accelerators look like within Teams, if you've generated a team and you've generated an assignment, the learning accelerators are part of the assignment that you can create. One of the learning accelerators is the Reflect tool, which I know Pam is a big fan on. It's a good way to kind of check in with your learners to see how they're feeling, to see how they're feeling about a topic, to see how they're feeling about a particular assignment, to see how they're feeling is progressing as they're going through various assignments and things of that nature. Within the Assignments tab, when I tap Create, that's where Learning Accelerators exist, just down the bottom here. And you can see the 4 learning accelerators we have available to us, is Reading Progress, Search Progress, Maths, and Speaker. Now, you might have used the Speaker one when you've done the presenting coach that exists in PowerPoint. That's where it will check your cadence. It will check the fact that as you're progressing through, how you're feeling. It's quite good for that. The Maths Progress is just a good comprehensive set of tools that can be used, as Pam says, at various stages. We have schools that have VLCs as part of them. We have aspects that can go through, and it just takes a wee minute to load. But these tools are all available within your, within the various parts that you're doing. So learning accelerators, let's look at Maths Progress, see if it loads this time. Might not. But as I say, you will get the slides and the links will be available. One of the other ways that learning accelerators can be used is just using coach.microsoft.com. So this can be used for various ages and stages. It can be done with young learners, it can be done with older learners, and it's really just a way that they can start to build their confidence as they are reading and how they start to come together. So as a teacher, I could create a practice assignment. You can see I've got this Renfrewshire Peeps one that I've created that's just been built on it. But what I could do is, without necessarily having to get them to join a separate team for this, if this is just an activity, it does it in the same way that you might have them join a Padlet, or you might have them join a Google Classroom, or you might have them join a Kahoot. You just have the code, or you could put this link into a team, or you could just post it on the board, and the learners can start to do it on the device that they're working on. If you just want them to go and read for enjoyment and to practice on their own, they can create their own reading activity that they can then practice. And that is a story that is used using basic elements that build a story together. So I might choose a lion who is going into the stadium, and I'm going to choose it as a higher level reading. And I'm just going to use generative AI to build my story. So just 3 taps, 3 clicks, a little bit of guidance from me as the teacher, say, right, build your story. You're working at level 1, you're working at level 2. If you're feeling a bit competent, progress up as you're going through. And then as I start my reading, counts me down. In the heart of the bustling city of Roarville stood the grandest stad ever built, known as the Prid Arene. It was a towering structure where aminals from all walks of life. So I purposely did that. My reading is not that great. So you can see my pronunciation is only 21%. My reading time was 20 seconds. And it's also picked up the words that I need to practice. So if I go and practice, go back and read again, I could say, ready, start, and I could screen record this. In the heart of the bustling city of Roarville stood the grandest stadium ever built, known as the Pride Arena. It was a towering structure where animals from all walks of life gathered to witness thrilling games and incredible performances. So this time you can see my reading speed has increased and my reading accuracy has also increased. My achievement, I've got high accuracy because I've done 3 over 90%. Now I'm logged in with my Glow account. So once I'm logged into Glow, this just tracks what I'm doing. I can go back to Reading Coach and I can see how it all comes together. So you're building in a bit of gamification, right? You're building in where learners can start to track their progress, because the machine learning aspect that is going in the background, it is learning this 100% accuracy, 16-second reading time, 18 minutes to go. These types of things learn with you. And that's what we are talking about when we talk about AI. We're not necessarily talking about Skynet and Rise of the Machines. What we are talking about is building an overall picture of how things can be used. And that's what's great about something like this, that is all behind your Glow login, right? It's not necessarily, it's going beyond Word, PowerPoint, Excel, it's going beyond it. So it's great in terms of what you can do, how far you can take it. And even for our secondary learners, where reading might not necessarily be their strongest skill, they're reading generally for information, but they don't always read for enjoyment. So this can be a good way to sort of build their confidence as they're coming across as well. So you can either have it standing alone, you can have it integrated into teams, and as Susan has happily shared in the chat, there are links to these. These are all on Glow Connect, or they're built in, and we can go into a bit more detail with those as we go through further ones. So there's 8 altogether. And you'll probably find which ones work best for you. Search progress is quite good for older learners, because their research and information skills, that's what they need to be able to do. And that also ties in. Yeah, absolutely. Accelerated reader. There are various things that exist out of the box, things that exist that you can pay for. We're just looking at the stuff that is sitting there, and it's all, it's apples and pears. They do the same job, but it's how you bring things together. And again, it's having that variety of choice and how it all comes together. That's the good part about it. Okay, right, this is where I'm going to get a bit of interactivity from you guys. Using the React button, right, thumbs up for yes, and love heart for no. How many of you have used an AI chatbot, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, XAI, whatever you've used? Right, great stuff. In the chat, share some of the things that you've done with generative AI. And don't worry if all you've done is generated a picture, right? That's all right. That's fine. Okay. Someone's got their hand up. Is that a hand up because they want to ask a question, or a hand up just to say yes, they've used it? That's okay. Fine. Image generation. Yep. Model text, staff surveys, yeah, brilliant. Picture generation, yeah. Music, games, some folk have done it for podcasting, school newsletters, absolutely. So you've kind of done it for you know the stuff that is there, right? The stuff that can all come together. Microsoft 365 Copilot, obviously built in together, absolutely. There are a lot of great things that you can do. Again, what we are quite fortunate with is having Google Gemini within Glow. We have a kind of again, this secure enclave. So with some of these large language models, you probably know that any prompt you put into that large language model is used to train it. It's what's called reverse propagation. The more you enter into a chatbot, the more it learns. Pam.
Just around that, I just wanted to just interrupt and remind all of our educators here that you cannot use any AI generated tools that have not gone through that data privacy process. There is a form on DigiLearn Ren that should be completed, and until that is completed, you shouldn't use it. So I'm just reminding everyone, this is a message that has been reminded. I just remind everyone at every opportunity, because people think that it's okay to give away data when it's not, and they're doing it with the very best of intentions, but no tools should be used within Renfrewshire that have not gone through that DPA process, which is why Gemini has all that built in, which is fabulous. Our Copilot within Microsoft has that all built in. So this is why we want to highlight that the tools that are available within Glow, which are such a good starting point. Thank you.
So their AI should not be used for any pupil data. It should not be used for anything that, in the same way that Glow is for learning and teaching, nothing that can tie an individual or a learner to the school or the location should ever be put into any generative AI tool, just as a good rule of thumb. The way in which we would recommend generative AI is used is for some the heavy lifting of resource creation, of helping sort of generate lesson ideas, things of that nature. And as Pam says, if it's not on that list within, that's a Renfrewshire list, that's the approved list, that varies from local authority to local authority. I'm just keeping things kind of straightforward and just saying, you know what, it's behind Glow, it's good to use. The thing about data privacy is the prompts that you enter into Google Gemini using your Glow login does not get used to train it doesn't get used to train the data, whereas something like ChatGPT or Claude or any of these other commercial generative AI tools, which Gemini is one of them, but we have a specific version of it for education. Anything you enter is used to make that tool better, right? And what happens with the information you enter into Gemini, it all stays private, right? It's not used to train it. All of the training is done externally. No one can see what you enter into Google Gemini. It is, as long as you're being safe and appropriate, that's absolutely fine. So you can rest assured that the things you are asking Google Gemini to do using your Glow login, that's fine. That's good. That's safe. And as long as it's all resource, lesson idea, heavy lifting type of thing, that's good as well. The data, the pupil data, the info, the tracking and monitoring, all that kind of stuff, that's a later conversation. Right now, let's just focus on tools that can be used for learning and teaching, the practical image generation, tool generation, resource generation that we can come into. So, best way for me to do this is to just show you some examples. Okay, so you can get to Google Gemini through the tab within Glow, or you can just go to gemini.google.com. And then Gemini just builds into this little chat window. And they are called chat bots for a reason, right? So with your your Glow login, you should see the the Google tile, the Gemini tile. If you don't, let me just open up. Because there is a slight difference with your Glow account and your Google account. You might not necessarily know this, which is all right. That's what happens. So on the tiles, obviously the tiles are your personal launchpad, right? That's the stuff that you can find. If you can't see Gemini, just do a search for Gemini on your launchpad, and then you can tap and add it. Okay. If not, what you can do is under your profile, your Glow account is slightly different, or your Google account, sorry, is slightly different from your Glow account. So you can see there, that is my Glow email, which also doubles as my Microsoft account. And you can see for Education Scotland, ours is eds.glow.scot. You guys, instead of the eds, it's re.glow.scot. And if you enter that account into Google, that will take you to the Glow sign in, you log in, and it's done. Bing, bang, bosh, right? So it's just being aware that your Glow account has a slightly different email address from your main Glow, your Google account. Too many G's. Your Google account is slightly different from your Glow account, right? As Susan says, the easiest way is to do that via the tile on RM Unify. If not, just, if you're logging in at home, same thing, just go to your Launchpad, add it there, and it's the easiest way to find it is just through the Launchpad. If you're logging in a Chromebook, it'll be there automatically, right? Because when you sign in on a Chromebook, it will sign you into all the Google tools and Microsoft tools, all these types of things, right? Hopefully that's clarified that. That's a good thing to know because, yeah, there is a way. And Susan will give you a wee step on how to do that in the chat, and I'll show you some ideas. Right, there are 4 main things that we can use Google Gemini for. Guided learning, which I'll show you, deep research, which is going into a further topic, creating images using Google's, don't know why it's called Nano Banana, probably because it's memorable, and Canvas. Now, Canvas is good. Canvas is a good way to, you might have heard the term vibe coding. You might have heard about, thinking about bringing an idea to life. That's what Canvas does. Creating images, that's simple enough. That's what we are, that's what everybody is used generative AI for in some regard. But what we hopefully should know is that a good prompt is put together in a way that has as much information as possible. There is good and there is bad prompts, right? We know that. If I just say, so not guided learning, I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm just going to say, give me a lesson idea for the Titanic. Okay, that's a bad prompt, right? It's ambiguous. It could be done for anything whatsoever, right? It's vague. It doesn't necessarily cover the details. Whereas if I say, and this is where my typing is going to be bad because I'm trying to do it quickly. I am introducing, in fact, you know what? Let's just go to the chat that I did earlier. So here's a group of lessons that I did earlier. Right. So instead of just saying, give me a lesson idea for Titanic, I have said, I am introducing a class topic on the RMS Titanic to a class of P6 learners in Scotland working at level 2. What are some of the key themes that I can introduce, right? And you can see, give me 3 examples of these and summarize them into a concise manner, right? That's a comprehensive prompt, right? And remember, the Gemini, ChatGPT, these types of tools, they are chatbots. Google Gemini is a chatbot. It will respond more the more you question it and say, I don't like that, I prefer this, bring it back in together. Now, learners don't have access to this, quote unquote, yet, but what you can do is you can share this on the board, you can bring this up, you can have these conversations, and you can still involve learners. If you're doing some work at home, I've done, the slides that I've done for presentations, I've dropped into the chat and I've said, I'm introducing a topic to teachers in Scotland on digital skills. Give me a 10-slide presentation and it will outline the structure and some of these things. So it can even help you do doesn't create it for you. And again, you need to have a level of understanding. You don't just take it at face value. You still say, you know what, you challenge it and you say, not too happy with this, change this, alter it here. So the other thing about these chatbots is they are really good at padding your ego, right? They're really good at kind of making you feel good about yourself. And you can say, the RMS Titanic is an excellent topic for P6 learners in Scotland. Thanks very much. I thought that myself. But as I go through and I start to see some of the parts that are there, I can say, okay, social class and inequality, that's quite interesting. Cause and effect, that's quite interesting. What are some of the things that I could do? You know what? There's maybe a connection here with the west of Scotland and shipbuilding and the shipyards in Belfast. Could I bring that together? So seeing the three things that are there, I then challenged it and I said, right, option one, social class, that sounds quite good. But how could I introduce this aspect combined with the social aspects of the individuals who built and designed the Titanic? And again, it pads my ego and says, brilliant, that's a fantastic way. But what it does is it gives me a theme. And it says, right, you've got the owners and designers, Thomas Andrews, you've got Harland and Wolff shipyards, and then there's, there's activities that I could do. I could say, right, let's take a ticket and how we're going to build that ticket, new set of learners. The task is to board the ship, but to research what there is. So we could design this virtual ship, have people coming on board and saying, I built this ship, I'm in third class. I designed this ship, I'm in first class. What does that mean? Why was that important at the time? And it's just again seeing, what the tool is doing is it's giving me the opportunity to expand this out further. I could even say, give me an outline for a presentation, right? And just to do the final part, I can say, right, generate an image that can be used on my slides, and it's generated that there. So I have that sitting as a chat that I can go back, I can copy parts of it from, copy and paste, put it into slides, put it into docs, put it into sheets, put it into Keynote, whatever. Because again, this is device agnostic. This could be sitting on a Safari window on an iPad. It could be sitting on an Edge browser on a Windows or on a Chromebook. It doesn't matter what you're using. It's what you're using it for. That's the important aspect here. What's also good is I can go back and see any of the other chats that I have had. So I might want to go back and say, I am struggling with, so let's go into secondary mode and we're maybe doing past paper questions. And I am wanting to do a bit of guided learning. And I could say, right, I've got a screenshot here of a past paper question from the 2025 National 5 Apps paper. And I can say, right, I am struggling to answer this question, unsure where to get started, and it will guide me through. It won't give me the answer, but it will give me the steps that I could do. So I could say, I am struggling to get started answering this question. Now, learners obviously can't do this, but what we could do is we could work in a group. We could work as part of the board. We could have this up on the board, zoom in and say, right, we have question one, or everybody have question one open on the device that you're looking at, and let's maybe see how we could start to go through this. I could even combine this with something like Kahoot, or I could combine it with forms, and I could get people to prompt in some answers. And again, it's just breaking it down. So let's focus on website A. What is the total cost? So we could say 2150 plus 349. So that would be, bring it all together. We could say, right, I've maybe generated a form and I've said, is it 24.99? Thanks. And again, perfect. Right? Once we figure that out, we can, so it looks like I've worked it out for one of the websites. So it's not giving me the answer. It's giving me, it's almost like a personal tutor. And it means that we could be working. So if you're doing one-to-one, if you're working with learners, maybe you're in the base, or maybe you're working with a learner who's maybe needing a bit of guided learning, you have that aspect to it as well. The other thing that I can use is something that we call vibe coding, right? Now, vibe coding is where we could start to use a tool like Canvas, for example. And does everyone remember a tool like Jamboard, right? Jamboard, it doesn't exist anymore, but maybe I could create something. So create a simple interactive whiteboard app that allows, and I'm going to use the word users to add drawings with various colors. Okay. Now, what you could do with this is it will give you the HTML code, right? It will give you the code that you could take that you could then embed on a Google site and you could share with your learners. Right. So this is definitely one to be doing on your own. It's maybe it's bringing an idea to life, right? That's what I kind of think about this is it's bringing an idea to life. So there's just a wee simple interactive board. Okay. What's missing? Right. Well, I might want to have add an option for changing the size of the pen. Make it a slider. Okay. Right. So you do that as well. And again, see how it's padding my ego? That's a great idea, right? Well done. But this is all based on the idea that you have, okay? And see, it's just given me 6 colors, and I could say, I don't like text for descriptions. Use icons, okay? Yeah, it's definitely, you know, it's definitely not for use for learners. This is you know, something that you could be building as a class, and you could say, or you could build this individually, then you could put it onto a Google site. I was working with teachers in Western Isles, and in Western Isles, one guy had created like this interactive tool for showing a waveform in physics and changing the amplitude and changing the frequency. He then put it on a Google site, because all you would do there is you would take the code, you'd select it all, just showing you how you might do this. You would copy the code, and then using something like Google Sites, and I realise this is maybe a bit beyond for some folk just now, which is absolutely fine, but so a Google site is like a website that you can build within Google, right? It's like a Glow blog, right? But it's using Google Sites, so it's just this own thing that is held within it's held within the Google suite, that you can actually create just a one-shot site that you can share with learners that they can access. So it's just under sites.google.com, and if I create a blank site, right? You can see there's various tools. You don't need to be, you don't need to be really. You don't need to know how to build websites. It's all drag and drop and adding things in. There's the embed tool, right? If I tap embed and paste in my text, which isn't there because that's URL, embed my code, tap next. It's going to preview it. Perfect. Tap insert, increase the size, and there is a very simple interactive whiteboard tool that I have created using Google Gemini, and if I publish it, I can then share that link, and pupils don't need to log in, they can just use it, right? So what you can use Google Gemini for is very, there's no limit. It's all your limit is your imagination, right? What do you need? What do you want to use? How do you build things together? And that's what I love about using Gemini. I think you can see from my chat list that I use, whoops, and it's just dropped.
I think, Martin,
Go.
it's such a useful tool, and you can see as we go through this, I think people will start thinking about different ways to use it. I
Yeah,
love the fact that you can use that canvas to build that and just drop it onto a site so kids
yeah,
can get access to it right away. And it's all still sitting within that Glow tenancy, if you like, for them. It's all that part of that suite of tools. So yeah, I
yeah.
think it's
This
really
is
straightforward. You can only get to it if you have a link.
100%, Pam. This is the beauty of it. Is there someone asked me a question, why doesn't Education Scotland share resources anymore? Simple question is, it's a lot easier to build resources now than it used to be in the past. Even creating something like blue to green color palette, request for just you can see all of my different options that I have here, even using just various bits that are here. Here's that interactive wave diagram I was talking about. Just try to find that there. Someone was saying it's taken them ages to find something like this. And I'm like, well, there's something that increases the amplitude, something that increases the frequency. If I copy that code and put it into sites.google.com and create a new one, that's ones that learners can use where they can actually interactively play. They don't need access to Gemini. They just access it using sites. You put it in Google Classroom, you put it in Microsoft Teams. The only people that can get access to it are the people with the link. It's safe, secure, all contained in there, right? And that's what's awesome about it.
And
The
I used
next,
it as part of, sorry, I was going to
all
say,
right,
like, I used it as part of our standards and qualities when I was pulling together all the stuff we did for DigiLearn Ren. I dropped stuff into a site so that people could just scroll and see what it looked like, and, just that visual way. I gave them all the information. It turned it into a really visual site for me that people can go back to and read it, take their time to read it. So I think as we go through, you'll find it really useful. Right, I'm just going to say 15 minutes, Martin.
that's all right. It's fine. I've got 2 bits left, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because I will lose 15 minutes really quickly. The next one is probably one that is going to have a place in your productivity side of things when you're given lots of documents or different things to review, and that's Notebook LM. Now, again, you will get that from the tile option. If you can't find that within tiles, just do the same thing that you did for Gemini, add it to your Launchpad. Notebook LM is a way in which we look at various documents, sites, videos, any source that you have can be brought together and can be summarized into audio, into video, can give you a mind map for progression, can give you a study guide, can give you a quiz, flashcards. There are various things that you can use it for that you can then share with learners. So it's another way for you to create a more engaging, more dynamic, more sort of interactive lesson. For me, some of the heavy ways that I've been using it is if I'm given a list of documents that I need to review, I get absolutely bogged down and lose track when I'm reading a document. So I sometimes fire it in and have it summarized into a kind of into a podcast type of way. So it's not, as Pam says, using anything else, it's just using what you've given it. So here's an extreme example. It's all about the F1 driving standards and penalties that go with it, because this can be quite, say you're doing something within PE and you're looking at sport and regulations or things of that nature. I do this within Formula One because I'm a geek. But this is just to show you that this can be quite comprehensive, but this can also make it quite simple to follow. So these documents and these web pages, these are heavy stuff. This uses Article 4.3.13.4, right? All this kind of stuff. Whereas if I just want to listen to it as a podcast episode, I can just tap audio overview, generates it, and then I can just listen to it.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You know Formula One, that incredible mix of pure speed, clever strategy, and those moments that just make your heart stop. Drivers pushing right to the edge. We're talking tiny decisions, split-second calls at 200 miles an hour, stuff that can...
Right, so that's a 14-minute podcast episode. I can even make it shorter when I tap on I can make it brief, critique, debate. I can change it. I now have English. I could even ask it to focus on certain things. Tell me about driver penalties or illegal overtakes. Tap generate. I won't bore you with it, but it's just to show you how easy it is to kind of generate this type of thing. The mind map option is awesome as well, because the mind map shows me how it all connects. Now, it doesn't take too long to build these. You can interact, you can ask it questions. So you could be sitting as a class and you could have a topic that you brought up. Maybe you're continuing with the Titanic part that we were looking at. You've maybe dropped in some documents, you maybe dropped in the investigation that went into the sinking. You've maybe got, you know, accounts that are coming. You've maybe got some of the documentaries that are on YouTube. Post all of those in there, and then you can get these overviews and how it all connects together. So if I look at my mind map, you can see, right, guidance overview, giving me the purpose, and it said, right, purpose of this, what's the updates, right? So this could be a good way to generate progression, right? You've maybe got the, you know, benchmarks that you want to look at progression for numeracy, right? The tracker that you would be doing, how would it all connect? What would you expect someone to do in shape, space, and measure from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 in a more comprehensive and dynamic way? The new ones that have appeared are these flashcards and these quizzes. So the flashcards are just based again on what you have given it. The more you give it, the more interactive stuff that you get. To be entitled to room when you're overtaken on the inside of a corner, where must the overtaken car's front axle be in relation to the other car? Must be alongside his front axle must be alongside the mirror. There we go, right? Look at that. And believe it or not, that's just how geeky I am. Miss Burnett, Ruth. That's all right. Hello.
I was just trying to upload your answer. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
That's all right. It's fine. But again, we could be doing this as a class and we could say, right, why is that? Can someone give me an answer to that? And if not, I can tap explain and look, it generates this additional bit here. So yeah, proper geek. But as you get into it a bit more, you can start to build all of these together. Now, what you can also do is you can take some of this content. For example, if I take the driving standards, which is a study guide, I could copy and paste all of that. Now, this is obviously for you would be doing stuff like this for learners that are a bit older, maybe working through their national qualifications, and maybe put that into a document that they can then have as their guide with the source material that it's going through. The video, the text, everything that Notebook LM can be used for is superb, right? It really is. Even like the video summary just takes the text and it just generates it.
Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a...
That was just as the new one, guides to SQA documentation, guides to maybe you're working within the department, you've got units of work, how they all come together, right? Notebook LM is going to be really useful in terms of how you take large amounts of information and condense it down into easier to use aspects. I find it extremely useful. This is my Glow account with these notebooks. My personal account has a lot more and has a lot more different things, from both professional to geeky. So I can go from the really sort of quiet geeky stuff to the really in-depth geeky stuff. And that's great. I have that personalization and I have that choice. I think Notebook LM is one that I'm really keen to see if we can do a bit more with. Right, 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, we're going to finish up with Adobe Express. Now, I know some folk on the call have already used Adobe Express, right? I know that is the case. Adobe Express, again, works on multiple devices, works on iPad, works on Chromebook. I'm on a Chromebook just now, works on across multiple devices. What's also quite good about it is you're not just limited to the Adobe kind of Express experience. You've got a few additional parts with it as well. You've got podcasts, you've got generating images, you've got audio to video, where you can animate a character, animate your voice. You can generate a colouring page, so younger learners can create their own. They can create their own tool, their own thing that they want to work with. For example, I might create an image of a happy monkey astronaut flying through lots of stars and planets. Okay, so you could use, younger learners don't necessarily need to be able to type. They can use the voice to text feature. That will come in as well. There's accessibility that appears within there, where you can use, you can either type, you can have it coming in. The faster your connection, the more it's going to come together. And you can see that's how we generate. You can then use pens, color it in, do various aspects with it. There's quite a good one there. And I could color that in, and I could do a bit more with it. And I think it's because I've got multiple. I seem to be doing quite a lot, pushing this machine to its limit, I think, today. Right, so just by a simple prompt, I can create a coloring page. Now, as I said, I am a good Blue Peter presenter. What I can then do is I can then use that as a resource to create something a bit more in depth. So if I have a look at my stuff, just to show you ones that I have made earlier, find one of my coloured in, it's a weird phrase to say, find one of my filled in monkeys. There we go. Right, so here's one of my monkey astronauts. This was generated using an AI colouring page. Now again, I'm showing you something that appears to be a bit babyish, but bear with me. Just think about how far you can take this. As learners are doing a bit more, we've seen learners in S3 doing something similar like this, because it's then or S2, I think, Susan, and then you can see how it comes in a bit more. So I'm just going to download this as an image, and then I'm going to use it to generate another kind of comprehensive image. So with Adobe Express, you can do a lot more. So if I start to create, and I'm just going to go with a portrait. I've just got this kind of picture here. I can generate a template. This is like an Instagram story, or I could go down to generative AI down the side here. And what Adobe Express does is it doesn't go out to the wider web to get the images. It uses its own stock images that are built in. So again, safe, secure, good space for learners to be using. I'm going to generate an image. I'm just going to generate a portrait image so it fills up. And I'm going to use the same prompt that I use for my coloring page. So I'm going to say happy monkey astronaut flying through stars and planets in a claymation style. I'm saying claymation because that is Wallace and Gromit. The style that I'm going to use, that is going to be my monkey astronaut coloring page. So I'm going to take my monkey astronaut, I'm going to open, that's my composition. I'm going to make it art In fact, I'm going to make it auto, and I'm going to generate. So again, it's the prompt I'm using. I've already used another image that I have created, and how it's all coming together. There you go. So it quickly created those, and there is my astronaut that's now been generated, and I could even add in some text. So I could go to text. I could add my text in here. Let's move it up. It's a astronaut monkey. And if I go to my effects, I can generate. So again, another generative AI effect. I could say rainbow planet style. And then you see the generative AI tool is working here. You can see it's just going through, going round. Could someone post a link to the survey into the chat, please, just so everyone has a chance to get to it? Thank you. So yeah, you can see it can give me various, it's been doing this. Just there we go. So let's use that one. Generates the artwork that I want to use, and then you can bring it all together just to show you what that can look like when it's all finished. This is one that we were doing as part of Scottish Myths and Legends. So we generated the text using generative AI, we generated the images using generative AI, and then what we also added in was the animate your voice. And you get all of these through that tile interface when you first go into Adobe Express. And even the background was generated using generative AI, and you can then choose. So you can see as I go through there, I think my prompt was grass. Make it look a bit mossy, make it look a bit grassy. A ghost piper of Edinburgh, and then animate by voice. This is Magnuson the Viking, and I just animated my voice and it turned it into a 2-minute video.
My favourite Scottish myth is the Ghost Piper of Edinburgh Castle, a young piper sent into the tunnels but never returned.
So the whole point about generative AI within Adobe Express is it's not one thing. It's multiple things coming together to produce this finished product. It's using it for pamphlets, for flyers, for things that you might do creatively in different approaches. And that's what's good about it. It's for being a free tool that uses everything that Adobe has going for it, that kind of creative aspect. The fact that the images are credited to the creators because they're using Adobe stock and the ethical considerations of that, massively more powerful than going out and getting that sort of £3 app that brings photos to life. Doing it that's there. So with that, Pam, that's 4:30
Abby.
on the dot.
Well done, well done.
And that's just a whirlwind tour, but thanks
Yeah.
for your attention there, folks.
And again, as I said at the beginning, thank you so much, Martin. Thank you so much, Susan, for coming along. We have popped in the chat. It's absolutely essential if you're going to come on this journey for these 8 sessions with us that you complete that evaluation, because what you put in the evaluation will hone where we go next. So, do we spend a whole session just on Adobe Express? Do we spend a whole session just on LM Notebook? It's for you guys to point us and to tell us what you want. And remember, next time when you come back, we're looking for you to go, here, I tried that, that was great, or I tried that and it didn't work. That's what we're looking for. We want this to be a journey together. What was the phrase that you used, Martin, about it's
a marathon. It's a marathon. It's
not a sprint. That's it. There we go.
Success is iterative. It doesn't just happen. It happens over time.
Fabby. Right, brilliant. So there we go. I've run over by 1 minute. I hope you'll forgive me. Please fill out the evaluation, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.